Alright, hello and welcome to episode 25 of Minechat. We're a quarter of a way through a century. I don't know if we'll make it, but we'll see how it goes. This week our guest is Andre from Copenhagen in Denmark. How's it going, Andre?
It's going well, thank you.
Thanks
for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being on. We've just spawned into your world here. I see a lot of European flags here. Oh, there's an American flag too as well, is it?
Yeah, it was... Yeah, we knew that the teacher gaming guys were from the States and Finland, so
yes.
they were honored with the flag, and then of course Sweden, because Minecraft is a Swedish game, and then us, of course.
Yeah.
So that made sense.
Exactly. So tell me a little bit about this world and what you teach and who your students are, and why this world exists.
Yes. The students I teach are students with autism spectrum diagnoses and everything that's related. And so a lot of them come in with a lot of skills in gaming and a lot of experience in gaming. And what we try to do is we try to use that as a platform to create learning experiences. And a lot of them are have difficulties in learning, and but we've discovered that when we use games to open up for discussions and open up content, that can be any kind of content, we actually can get them to do some serious learning. Mm-hmm. And so this world is we needed like a world that could be the platform for all our Minecraft activity. So it's actually grown to it's really big, and it takes a while to load. But there's a lot of different locations that we've established through the last couple of years, and we haven't used it that much lately. But this is like the main plaza and the spawn point that we kind of built through the course of a couple of months. Mm-hmm. And we made it a process where I got the students to design the things that they built, and not just build without reflecting on what they built. So a lot of the things we see here are things that have been designed through a process of sketching, and they've been discussing what the design should look like, and we started with we wanted to kind of hit a cozy atmosphere, and we used a place in Copenhagen which the architecture comes from, I'd say it's I don't know if it's Baroque or what we call it, but it's like from between the 1600s to the 1800s, where the houses were narrow and there were about 3 or 4 stories, and there were canals around the city center.
I immediately got that when I came in. I immediately got Europe. I got the canals, I got the houses, and it made me feel like my days living in Europe.
So they each got a plot around this plaza, and they built a house, and we just kind of added layers of content as time went by. And what's interesting to see is that even though they've had a chance to actually build these houses, a lot of them are just I'm really not I think some of their houses, they could have done better, right. But I think it was also just this thing of, you give them a plot and you give them a lot of freedom, and you got to just give them that freedom to build. So this guy who actually built with a flat roof, I was talking to him about, everyone's making an effort to to make a design kind of consistent, and this guy just insisted on making a flat roof, and so it just ended up like that. So it's just it just makes me think of that. While working in Minecraft, you can't really decide on everything that the students do and control everything, but you kind of got to navigate in all the decisions that they make.
Yeah.
And that's maybe also something that's at the core of working in games-based learning, is that the students' ability to make decisions for themselves is something you're going to have to be open to, and also just deal with once they've made those decisions.
It's the hardest thing for a teacher to do, is to see this kind of freedom blossom, and then your kind of natural instincts is to kind of control it a little bit, because it's getting a bit chaotic.
Yeah.
So what did you think your students what do you think your students were learning along this process? You know, they're on the autistic spectrum. What do you think they gained from it?
It was actually an exercise in collaborating, because one guy couldn't just get in there and start building away. Everyone would have to agree on a plan that we were going to do this, and it was going to look like this, and everyone was going to build in a specific place, because because if everyone just went on and built whatever they wanted, wherever they wanted, it would just not have the same visual expression. So everyone, we gave everyone specific assignments, and they built specific buildings. So it was also an exercise in actually entering a creative process and creating sketches for their buildings, and also trying to adhere to a specific design, a style, an atmosphere, and after they built stuff, they would take a look at everyone's building and kind of give each other critique and feedback. Right. And that's also something that's at the core of what we work with, is that when we work with games, they often would design a level or build something in Minecraft, and then they have to critique each other. And there's two exercises in that. That's receiving the feedback and being open, and then also giving it in a way that's constructive and so it can be used.
Yeah.
So
did you kind of remember any sort of kind of specific moments with any of your students that kind of hit home to you, saying, yes, this is a good exercise for them, they kind of learned from this process?
I don't actually remember any of those moments, but
sometimes it doesn't happen.
I remember we were talking about this building here, which is the teleport that has all the teleport blocks in it, and we were talking about that they had used what are these? These are melons, and the material was actually you used a melon to build a house, and they were debating, well, what are we doing here, and is it the visual style, or is it the actual properties of a melon that we want? And so they actually had a good discussion about that, and they landed on, well, it doesn't really matter if it's a melon, but the color looks great. And I think this is actually it's a facade of a train station that one of the students got off. I think it might have been a Finnish building or a Russian design. So it's actually directly inspired by that.
Somewhere in Russia, there's a building with melons on the top. So this is the teleport building. So have you got any couple of different worlds we can go to from here? Yeah,
I think we've got a number of worlds, and let's just take a look. We've got a free build area.
Okay.
And survival. I think we should try the Civcraft because that's something that I put a lot of work into.
All right.
There we go. This is the one, Civcraft Classroom. So let's see where this takes us. And this is basically like the laboratory, or not the laboratory, the auditorium, where the students first spawn in. And the scenario is that it's the Stone Age, and students are going to move into a landmass that's just behind this, and actually play a role play where they are the Stone Age people, and living in tribes, and they have to establish themselves. And so this part is actually kind of like the textbook part, where they do some reading. And once I've gathered them in here, I kind of asked them to follow the yellow brick road.
Oh yeah.
And I asked them to read some of these text blocks, and they can look down, and they can actually see the ice, a layer of ice melting or disappearing, and so that kind of underlines very well the situation just before the Stone Age in Denmark. That the ice was moving back, and people came in and lived in Denmark.
Yeah.
And so it's the Danish Stone Age we kind of focus on. And they actually move through here and just kind of get a few facts before they move on to the next level. So they do a bit of reading here, and move down. And what they see here is, if we just kind of fly up, you can see a lot of different levels.
Yeah.
That each level represents about 2 hours of Minecraft gameplay, where they play in survival, and it gives a kind of a summary of the assignments that they get when they spawn in. So like down here, they have to, I believe the first challenge is actually to get fire, and whoever gets fire first gets to be the what do you call it, the chief of the tribe, and so forth. And then they have to build boats and discover, I believe they have to do a bit of mining for basic materials. And what this teaches them is that they have to actually go into the Stone Age mindset. So they can't actually start using like iron. They're not allowed to mine iron and smelt it into tools. They're only allowed to use basic materials. So they get a picture of, these are the materials you're allowed to use, and the things they're allowed to build.
So you're constructing the world that the Stone Age people had back in the day.
Yeah, so that they get an idea of what they're going to be playing, and they'll probably forget most of the stuff that they've been through. They spend about 15 minutes racing through here because they just want to get out there and play. So they'll run through here, and there'll be a spawn block here that brings them into the world.
Okay.
And, but if you just briefly look along the next levels, you can see that I introduce new content on the Stone Age, and so if we come over here, there's the agriculture is starting to become a part of their way of living, and their housing becomes bigger. So if we move on, we've also put focus on how they buried their dead. In the beginning, it was just small mounds with these boulders, which we still can see in Denmark, and then kind of progressed to these massive like cave-like structures inside a hill.
I was just talking with my students last week about ancient burial things, because in Ireland we've got a thing called Newgrange, and we had a conversation. I have a Danish student in one of my classes actually, and he was talking about Denmark and their burial chambers too. So there's a coincidence for you.
It's quite impressive because they were moving big blocks, just like they might have been doing in Egypt. And this is like the same time as they were building pyramids in Egypt. Egypt was doing it on a much larger scale. But there's a clear progression here, and so we actually spent, sometimes it was even 4 hours on some of these levels, because I could see that the students were really getting into it. And I think the learning that we extracted from it was, a lot of it was when I was talking to the students during their gameplay. Like a guy would be building some massive structure, and I would say to him, is this a Stone Age? Is this correct? And I would like reflect on his building while he was in it.
Yeah.
And so just that way, making him conscious of, maybe these things that I've built aren't entirely correct. And I would give them, each time they finished off an assignment, I would give them things they could work with to improve their settlements, and just to give them credit for their playing. So we should just go into one of these settlements that they've built. Which I believe you can go here.
Okay.
And let's see. This takes us.
What does Voldtofte mean?
It's an actual settlement in Denmark.
Oh, okay.
Where they've uncovered a lot of Stone Age. They've uncovered a lot of Stone Age stuff. So so it's given its name after real Danish locations. This is the most modern Stone Age settlement that the students got to build, with fairly big houses. They haven't actually put anything into them, but point was that they each had their own house to build.
Yeah.
And also I was looking at if they had they were designing the houses as we had talked about before they went into the game. And this guy's actually done quite a good job, because he's made like a pen for the cows inside the house, and that's what they did to use the heat from the animals.
Yeah.
So actually this took quite a long time for them to build, because they have to find a lot of the materials themselves, and they were doing it with stone. So
yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
no diamond pickaxes.
No way. Yeah. So I think it was interesting for them to actually reflect on Stone Age life by actually playing it, and actually taking on the role of a Stone Age tribe, and there was a lot of need for communicating together and talking together and actually figuring out who's going to live where. And some of the stuff I helped them along, and I kind of gave them a plan for how they should build. And other times they just, I think there's other settlements around here it's just insane. What they started building was just, they really took off, and I had no control. So
that happens.
Yeah, that's what happens. So I think that this is probably one of the most interesting projects I've had until now.
So, you have a Danish curriculum to teach, and is this, Stone Age times? That's something you have to teach to, and
well, I should probably say something about it, because we don't actually have a curriculum at the school. We work with individual goals, because these guys have finished their primary school, and that means that the people the students that I teach are in between schools, you
Right.
might say. So, some of them don't know if they're going into some kind of employment. Some might be getting themselves ready for some kind of education, and a lot of them actually just need to work with themselves personally. So there's a lot of different goals for a lot of different students. So
Right.
there's no one here to demand that we teach a specific curriculum, other than we have to kind of document that we're developing them socially, and also giving them some sustenance intellectually.
Yeah.
Because they have to come out within 3 years and be ready to go somewhere.
Right.
And so it gives us good time to really work with a lot of the social challenges that these students might have.
And did you get any, like, introducing Minecraft? Did you get any like pushback from either administrators or parents?
Well, there's been a kind of our school, our principal. He's been kind of skeptical in the beginning about the use of game-based learning, but through the years and through the projects that we've been doing, he's been warming up to it, and I think that also my colleagues can see that that students really get engaged when they get into the games, and they make the products that they do, because we don't just teach content, we also design Minecraft games for other schools, and we do workshops for teachers, and in that process there's a lot of learning, and there's a lot of challenging the students to actually share what they know about gaming, rather than just playing. So we use it in a number of ways.
That's cool. There's a lot of different things that come along with just actually introducing Minecraft. There's a lot of extra, projects that the students and yourself can get involved with. Then, like, obviously, you can bring it out, bring it to the outside community and do the workshops that you mentioned. It's a really great opportunity. Yeah,
and there's also, it's like we're very privileged to be able to actually try things out here at the school, and we've got a lot of freedom in our method, and so we're kind of a laboratory for exploring this way of teaching, and so obviously I think it's very important that we share the experience and the knowledge that we get on doing this, because there's just very little time for the average teacher to actually get into how games work and how it can be used to support a curriculum.
Right.
So what we do is we try to inspire teachers as to how they could do this.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. Do you have any other areas you wanted to show us?
Yeah. Let's just take a look at the stations. Maybe we can just look. I will teleport you once I've found out what we do, and stations down there.
All right.
And boom, 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 boom.
Let me just get rid of this.
Okay. We're going to go to a place that I used for English.
Okay.
I'll just teleport you.
Alright, so we've spawned to this English learning area, Andre, so you can tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah. The idea was that we actually just design a little beach town environment. And actually, there was only 3 guys in this course, and so I built the 4th house here, which is kind of we wanted to give it like a lazy surf town feel. So, but the guys wanted to build. We wanted something challenging to build. So we just looked into custom houses in like American custom houses, and we found some reference pictures, and then I just gave them a plot each, and they just started building. And the idea wasn't to build something epic, but just for them to erect a building. And before they started building, we talked about what was in a house, and we did. This was absolute beginner's English.
Okay.
And I got them to talk about every single room and what things were typically in a kitchen and a bathroom and so on. And they used signs to just build some vocabulary, very, very basic vocabulary.
I like this sign in here. There's a sign that says "table, what's up?"
Yeah, there might be some dodgy things on some of the signs. Because I also asked them what they could do in some of these rooms, and everything is not for kids. Yeah, so
Okay.
but anyway, but they had fun doing it, and we had a lot of conversations about what can you do, and I think there's some of these text blocks, and you might discover some interesting reading, but
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, these guys are like 17, 18 years old, so
Yeah. They're learning their English from Jay-Z and Dr. Dre, maybe.
And so we even did some grammar, just working off these houses. Like they were saying, well, I can eat, I can sit, and then we talked about to be in different tenses, and just kind of used this as a visual backdrop for talking about stuff that usually is boring in typical English learning.
Yeah.
So they each had their own little place that they could expand on. So what I did was I might have had about 5 lessons where we worked in these houses, and we played with these houses for about half an hour, and then we spawned to another part of the map where I had them just playing survival Minecraft, and they would embark on an adventure, and I would get them to write what they had done. So we worked with verbs, like I jumped into a cave, I went spelunking, and so forth, and so they would just jot that down with a book and quill, and they would have a small text by the end of the lesson, and we also built it up gradually. So the first lesson we actually just took down verbs, and the second lesson we started developing phrases, and so we just kind of built on top of that. And then they were writing small stories about adventure. I don't think they were so keen on learning with books and sitting in a traditional classroom setting, but getting into a virtual world and just interacting with the language here was very successful. I feel, because I just had their attention for quite a long period of time.
Yeah.
And actually, someone who's taken this concept even further is Sensei, York Sensei.
Oh yeah, yeah, he sure has. James
Kotobama. Yeah, and he also actually took this idea, and he had also seen the Japanese players, how they learned English just using signs, and he's actually taking it very far. So
yeah, and what
so
he's
we've
done
inspired
is
each other
Yeah, exactly. I can see the connection. What he's done recently, well, in my last episode with him, and I don't know if your students would be into this as well, but I think what he's doing is getting them to do like simple let's plays and uploading them to YouTube, in the language they're learning, so it's an authentic way of using English or Japanese into actually publishing it, basically, then being published. I think every student that I teach is so into putting Minecraft onto YouTube. It's crazy.
It's amazing. I've just been talking to a colleague about it. It's he says that they're just crazy about it. I have no idea why they're doing it, but for some reason,
it's hard for us to relate to it, because when we were their age, we just had a pencil and diarrhea for a lucky.
I personally, I can't get into PewDiePie, and
no.
I might watch his top funny moments and laugh a bit about that, but I would never be entertained by a whole let's play by him.
No. We're getting old, man. We're getting old.
Yeah.
So
I'd say,
go ahead.
This is definitely the two places on the map where I'd say this is worked pretty well, and it's just been first time I've tried it, and this way of teaching is definitely something that could be developed and worked on even further. I've definitely had some good experiences with it, and it's also easy to prepare as a teacher, and I think that's something that I have to get better at, is just getting ideas that are really down to earth and easy to prepare for teachers, because a lot of teachers won't be able to do a lot of building before a lesson, and I think and that's how a lot of teachers who want to use Minecraft think. They would think, what will I actually gain from spending 2 hours in Minecraft?
It's hard for teachers to grasp the outcome of immersing students into a game if they're not into it themselves. I think I think it helps sometimes. Maybe there's at least one gamer on your staff that kind of know what the joy of being immersed in a game is, and know what you can learn from being kind of involved in a game like Minecraft, or some sort of game like Portal, where your brain gets a workout just by thinking new things and thinking how to design things and thinking how to solve problems. I think it's hard, and that's why I kind of do this, is to kind of get your story, get what you do out there, and hopefully get for you to inspire other teachers in another country with other grades, and just kind of get this whole depository of learning with Minecraft out there. So so thanks for being on the show.
You're welcome.
And hopefully we'll see each other soon.
Yeah, great.
Alright, so that's the end of Minecraft Mind Chat episode 25. We'll see you again in the next episode.